Well, we're here. WrestlePalooza came and went and was not very good. And mostly because what in the world did they do with the Brock Lesnar and John Cena stuff? And where does that lead for John Cena after this? I'm going to talk about that today. What's next kind of for John Cena? Obviously, I'm alone today. No Brandon because he's getting surgery this morning. We just got confirmation that that went well. So, congrats to Brandon. He now has 2 functional knees. That's good stuff. I'm Will of COD WrestlePod. Let's get into this. WrestlePalooza. Obviously, I just said it. A lot of people did not like the dang thing, and it didn't give us a very good start to the show when Brock Lesnar and WWE and John Cena, I guess, decided to book it to where John Cena, with 5 dates remaining, gets absolutely squashed to a 48-year-old Brock Lesnar who doesn't need that at all. And so if you watched our review on it, you're already going to kind of know our opinions or my opinion on the whole thing. But now that I've had a few days to let it sink in, I wanted to kind of see if I changed my mind on it, see if I could see anything good come out of this. And I'm going to tell you, no, I could not. I don't give any reason, or I don't see any reason as to why we really needed to do this to Brock Lesnar right now. If we're going to just have Brock Lesnar return and be the beast incarnate again, then you didn't need to do any sort of squash matches. Just have him be the beast incarnate, because we've done this storyline with him many, many, many times. We had him destroy John Cena in the SummerSlam match 10 years ago or whatever it was that we tried to redo here at WrestlePalooza. That did the job as is, and that was coming off of him defeating the Streak at WrestleMania. Right then and there, you got yourself 20 years of beast incarnate, all right? We didn't need to reiterate it here in 2025 by him squashing John Cena. Opinions are a little bit mixed, because you do have some people saying, well, what are you talking about? This only makes sense. Look at Brock Lesnar. Did you see how disgustingly huge he was? Or I guess disgustingly is not the right word. He was incredibly swole at WrestlePalooza. Dude looks like he's in the greatest shape of his life at 48 years old. It's insane. But they're arguing basically that look at Brock Lesnar, look at John Cena. In this day and age, Brock should destroy John Cena. And I'm sitting here going, well, that's kind of not my take on things, because I don't watch professional wrestling to be grounded in reality, right? I don't need it to be realistic. If it was realistic, then you wouldn't have your Daniel Bryan yes movement moments, right? You need to have moments where just storytelling and goofiness wins overall. I would have loved to see John Cena become Super Cena after getting F5 5 times and somehow pulled out the victory against Brock Lesnar. You know why? Because we have 5 dates left. It makes no sense. It would have made me really, really happy, and I would have had a good time. But that's my opinion on it. If you liked Brock Lesnar versus John Cena, all to you. I'm glad you liked it. The main question, though, coming out of the squash match is, well, we have 5 dates remaining for John Cena, so what the hell is next for the boy? Well, that leaves us with 3 PLEs, 2 Raws. He's going to show up to Crown Jewel. He's going to show up to Raw. He's going to show up to Raw. And then it's going to be Survivor Series and our Saturday night main event where he gets to retire at. Now, with that said, people are already wanting a Brock Lesnar rematch based off of the, they don't want John Cena going on his back like that. They don't want him getting punked by Brock Lesnar. And if you ask me, well, Will, do you want a Brock Lesnar versus John Cena rematch? I would look you in the eye and tell you, absolutely freaking not. My reason being is that this has been the one feud during John Cena's farewell tour that just hasn't hit at all. I mean, you could argue that Cody Rhodes versus John Cena round 1 was not that great, but since then we've over-delivered on basically everything. The Ron Cena stuff was fun, Randy Orton stuff was fun, CM Punk stuff was great, and hell, even the match against Logan Paul and Sami Zayn, both of those matches were absolutely fantastic for John Cena's retirement tour. The one miss here, big time miss, has been Brock Lesnar, and it's gotten almost some of the most dates out of John Cena's farewell tour already, because Brock Lesnar comes out at SummerSlam to attack him. Brock Lesnar comes out after the match against Sami Zayn to attack him, and then John Cena cuts promo, has terrible match with Brock Lesnar. That's 5 out of his final 10 dates. Half of the dates of his final 10 dates wasted on Brock Lesnar, and we got a terrible, terrible squash match out of it. I don't care about storylines. I don't care about the fact that Johnny Boy should get his get back, basically, get his revenge on Brock Lesnar and prove that he's better than Brock. I don't need to see that. I've seen John Cena pin Brock Lesnar before. I've seen this exact storyline before. So I don't need to reiterate it, redo it with 5 dates left in John Cena's retirement tour. I'm out on it. No, I do not want to see John Cena fight Brock Lesnar again on the farewell tour. With that said, I'll finally get Brock Lesnar's name out of my mouth for a little bit. We'll move past WrestlePalooza and we'll look at what is next for John Cena. So what I kind of foresee here with 5 dates remaining, I'm going to chalk up 3 matches, right? We'll probably use the Raws for maybe you tack on a match at Raw, so maybe 4 overall matches overall, but I'm going to say 3, at least at the 3 PLEs, right? That being said, Crown Jewel is coming up. Who does John Cena face here? Well, we've been getting some good stuff lately on that one because John Cena has actually called out AJ Styles and Triple H for that matter on Twitter, saying that basically, I do not choose my opponents, but I always listen to the crowd. Are you listening, AJ Styles? Are you listening, Triple H? So John Cena is basically going into business for himself finally and asking for the AJ Styles match. No better place to do this, in my opinion, than Crown Jewel. And if you're going to do it at Crown Jewel, hell, I think that AJ Styles should rip that belt off Dom just for a minute in order to get John Cena a match for the Intercontinental Championship at Crown Jewel and complete that triple crown that he's never gotten in the WWE. I mean, everybody's been asking for this match. AJ Styles, John Cena. John Cena did the Styles Clash, I think, in the Cody Rhodes match or maybe the Logan Paul match, one of the 2 matches. So he already said, that was his toast, his homage to AJ Styles, his, hey, thank you very much, even though I don't think I'm going to see you on my farewell tour. Well, obviously, something changed in his mind after Brock Lesnar, after that terrible match at WrestlePalooza, and now even Johnny Boy wants to fight his old opponent, and we're all here for it. And if we get John Cena somehow getting the Intercontinental Championship from AJ Styles at Crown Jewel, which, that's a whole roundabout way of getting there as is right now, then you could work it back to Dom Mysterio, because those are 2 of the opponents that I would like to see John Cena fight in his final 5 appearances on WWE. I would love to see AJ Styles and Dirty Dom. So if you really wanted to, because we're already doing the AJ Styles pushing of match because John's calling them out on Twitter, you could easily have Dom in the route to Crown Jewel over the next few weeks, have a match against AJ Styles, the Finn stuff, the Dom stuff comes to a head. He drops the title to AJ real quick. John beats AJ at a Crown Jewel, and then we work our way back to Dom. You could do it that way, or you could just keep the belt on Dom. I know I'm complicating the entire situation right then and there by saying that you got to drop it to AJ within the next couple of weeks. I just think that, Crown Jewel, big spot, AJ Styles, that's a for sure match right now. So getting the Intercontinental title to John Cena, that's the easiest route in my opinion at the moment. I say that because John and Dom haven't had any, cross paths yet. I know John's talked about Dom in multiple interviews over the past year during the farewell tour, but, overall, AJ Styles versus John Cena looks to be happening while Dom is kind of just a dream match in my mind. So getting the IC title to John Cena through AJ Styles seems like the easiest way to do it and the most realistic route at the moment. So that's how I would kind of do it. In terms of other opponents, if you are going to do the War Games match, which you could do, you throw John Cena in with, team Cody Rhodes, and they fight against the Vision and Seth Rollins. I'd be down for that. A War Games match kind of checks off a bunch of check mark. It has him fighting Seth Rollins. It has him fighting Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker, and then whoever you want to add to Seth Rollins' team, maybe a Drew McIntyre. So you really could do a lot of check marks there in terms of people John Cena gets face-to-face with toward the end of his farewell tour. I do like the idea of throwing John into the War Games match. I think that would be a really, really good idea. So at the moment, right then and there, I have AJ Styles, I have Dom Mysterio, and then I have coming face-to-face in a match at War Games with Seth Rollins, with Drew McIntyre, with Bronson, with Braun. So you're crossing off a lot of names right then and there. But then, the ultimate question here is, who does John Cena fight in his final match at Saturday Night Main Event in December, given the circumstances that we have right now? A lot of people are sitting here saying that's our full circle moment, is we're going to wrap all the way around and Brock Lesnar is going to be the very last match. And in his final match, John Cena is not only going to stand tall, but he's finally going to defeat Mr. Brock Lesnar in his final match. And I think that's an absolutely horrible idea. I mean, it would be a good idea in terms of the crowd will be 100% in John's favor, and people will be 100% happy seeing John Cena stand tall at the end of his final match, which is going to be a controversial thing if it's not Brock Lesnar, because, wrestling historic things that we do is that the wrestler goes out on his back, right? That's like the ritual. That's how we normally do things. So him standing tall in his final match will be controversial overall. But if it is Brock Lesnar, all of us are going to be like, he better stand tall in his final match. For me, though, I do think that we still got to do Gunther. I don't know how we get there. We wrap him back into things. We haven't seen him in a while. I haven't even done my research enough to see how his injury is doing. I probably should have done that. But I do think that Gunther would be a really good last opponent for John Cena and a guy who could really capitalize off of John Cena's loss if we do give John Cena a loss in his final match. Gunther seems like the classic guy who would go up against John Cena, right? The all-American boy that John Cena is, hustle, loyalty, respect, saluting before he runs to the ring, going up against, the ring general, Gunther. I just think that would work really well. And if you wanted to push Gunther right back into the main event scene, which, the dude seems to live there over his career in WWE. He's been a champion for 70, 80% of his entire career. Then this would be a good way to just bounce him right back into the main title scene, make him a threat right away back on Raw. And I think Gunther versus John Cena would just be a fantastic match overall, because I don't think Gunther lets down at all, and John Cena has been over-delivering, except for the Brock Lesnar match in that aspect of things. So when it comes to what's next for John Cena, basically, in my opinion, you stay the hell away from Brock Lesnar. You leave that terribleness on a terribleness pay-per-view, PLE that was Wrestlepalooza. We move on with our life. We do what John Cena is trying to do on Twitter right now, where you just go, okay, that didn't work. So what do we need to do? How do we pivot? Well, you just go to the fans. Okay, this is a John Cena farewell tour. Nothing in the history of wrestling has been fantasy booked like John Cena's farewell tour. I think every content creator who's ever existed in the WWE space has made a video or a podcast or a short about what they want to see John Cena's farewell tour go like, who we would like to see him face, how we'd like to see him go out. There's 1,000 different opinions out there. So WWE can really just capitalize off of that and just go, okay, that didn't work. Let's see what the people like. We got 5 dates left. Let's just start rattling off what people like and end this thing on a really good note. So yeah, 5 dates left. I say we get AJ Styles in there. I say we get Dom in there. I say we get John Cena in the War Games, and then I would probably book Gunther as being his final match. If you want to throw Randy Orton back in there, fine. If you want to throw The Miz in there, I would love to see The Miz in there, because they obviously have a great rivalry from the past that hasn't been even touched upon since he returned. So I'd like to see a little bit of Miz in there, but that should be what's next for John Cena. Just doing some fun stuff to get us out on these last 5 dates on a good note with the fans and John Cena as a whole. Other than John Cena, we do have some what's next as well, and I've mentioned his name a couple times in this video, but at Wrestlepalooza, Drew McIntyre did lose to Cody Rhodes, in which was a sort of underwhelming match. I understand why people are saying that. It got put into the main event slot after what I guess WWE pivoted from having John Cena and Brock Lesnar in the main event, and so that meant Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre had to go there. And I don't think that they had a match built in their heads to really be a main event of a huge PLE like that. But I liked the match. I thought it was serviceable. But the question really is, like, Drew McIntyre, what are we going to do with him? What's next for Drew McIntyre coming out of this PLE? Because he's been one of those guys where the entire fan base, or a big portion of the WWE fan base, has been clamoring for Drew McIntyre to get a title shot, man. And it just so happens that this Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre feud gets put where you have a big old hole or gap right in the middle of it, because you do have the crown jewel stuff where we do our champion versus champion. So it feels like what we had going with Cody Rhodes and Drew McIntyre was really working, and I really did like the story there. But then all of a sudden you're just like, well, we have to do champion versus champion, so let's just pluck Drew out of it for a minute, and now we'll go do the Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes stuff, which is going to be great, but it's one of those moments where it feels like Drew is getting screwed over again. He's doing some really good work, but now we got to take a break from him doing some really good work because, well, it's crown jewel time, everybody. So that leaves a what's next for Drew McIntyre, and I think it's extremely obvious what's next for Drew McIntyre. We play into the ref thing. When Drew McIntyre fought Randy Orton wanted to punt Drew McIntyre's head off, and that was a championship #1 contender match, I think. I think that Randy versus Drew was winner was going to go on to face Cody Rhodes. I think that's how we ended up getting the match at Wrestlepalooza. I may be wrong on that, but it might as well have been, because those two are amazing and they both deserve title shots whenever they want. But anyway, the ref got in the way of Randy Orton when he wanted to kick Drew McIntyre's head off. Well, we full circle, we round about to Wrestlepalooza, and when Drew McIntyre is going to punt Cody Rhodes' face through the announce table, ref goes out there and is like, what the hell? What are you doing? You can't do that. Stop it. Well, that ended up getting Drew McIntyre the loss a minute later, right? So what do we do here? We have Drew McIntyre come out on SmackDown probably this week, as soon as Friday, go up to Nick Aldis and be like, bro, your ref screwed me out of that. That plays right into what Drew's been doing for the better part of 2.5, 3 years now. The whole Drew McIntyre gets screwed at every moment thing that he does. This feeds right into that. Well, then you have Randy Orton going, okay, well, if you got screwed, then I got screwed. Ref stopped me as well. That naturally gets us basically another number one contender match between Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton. And that probably gives us our number one contender coming out of Crown Jewel for whatever happens with Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins down the line there. Now, if you want to add on to this, you want my full-on opinion on it, I say we don't get a clean victor to this. I think that we need to have Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre be the number one contender so that we can do a big old triple threat match with Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, and Cody Rhodes at whatever event comes next after that. I guess Survivor Series, but we're going to do the War Games match. Hell, you might have to throw the triple threat match on at maybe Rumble. I don't know. My PLE schedule is all mixed up. Maybe even Saturday Night Main Event. Who knows? But that needs to happen, I think. I think that we need to have Randy Orton in the mix of things with Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes so that down the line, we can get the full-on Cody Rhodes-Randy Orton rivalry, and this could be our stepping stone to that. But Drew McIntyre needs to be involved in all of this is basically what I'm saying. We need to not have Drew fall off after this and just allow Cody Rhodes to go on to fight Seth Rollins without any, big talk, without any want of getting back at that title. He did get screwed again via the ref at WrestlePalooza, so Drew McIntyre should definitely go after Nick Aldis and be like, I want a number one contender by any means possible. And in my opinion, the best way to even, I guess we're tacking on Randy Orton, so what's next for Randy Orton too, basically at this point, is that you would have Randy Orton throughout the triple threatness of it, kind of be on the edge with Cody Rhodes, and maybe we could even have Randy Orton cost Cody Rhodes the title in the triple threat match, and then maybe Drew McIntyre is champion while Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton are kind of doing their thing. Maybe you can even break off Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton without the title. I don't really know. Either way, my whole point here is that Drew McIntyre needs to at least have big shots at the championship in the near future. And in my opinion, I think he should steal the belt off of Cody Rhodes. Even if you don't include Randy Orton in any of this stuff, right? Even if Drew McIntyre and Randy Orton have another number one contender match and Drew beats him clean this time, that's totally fine. We can have a 3-match, 4-match, 5-match rivalry between Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes where they tug of war that belt back and forth. I think that would be fantastic, and I think it would turn Cody Rhodes into a chaser again throughout the feud, which immediately makes him more interesting to the crowd. So I think it'd be a win-win-win for everybody involved. Drew McIntyre should 100% win that championship down the line. And by down the line, I mean kind of soon, within the next 6 months. I'm going through my list of what's next. I just kind of had jotted down ideas here. I also wanted to talk about Triple H and just ESPN and WrestlePalooza as a whole. WrestlePalooza, or the fallout of WrestlePalooza, is where I've seen the most Triple H criticism out of anybody ever, basically, or the most he's ever gotten from what I've seen. I know it's kind of fun to hate on Triple H, Papa H at the moment, and talk about his booking issues, which I do think he has booking issues. I know I'm kind of known as being like a Triple H fanboy or something like that, but I do see the issues, right? His championship booking has not been good. I mean, you had Io Sky's championship reign basically amount to nothing. Tiffany Stratton right now is just in the vortex of Jade and Nia. I don't like that stuff. I mean, Julia, what the hell are we doing there? I mean, if you look at those three that I just pointed out, maybe he has an issue booking the women of the WWE. That's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. But I do want to say, like, what's next for Triple H? He needs to learn from this. The WrestlePalooza stuff, we did not need the day before WrestlePalooza him to get on a mic and be like, this is about to be the biggest PLE in history. We're going to have the most surprises, most twists, most turns. It's like, you promise us stuff and then you gave us that dud. You can't be mad at us when we listen to you for telling us that it's going to be the best PLE ever, and then you give us an absolute C- D+ PLE, and we sit here and treat you like garbage, which I'm not saying anybody should jump on the internet and call him names. We're all human beings at the end of the day. Let's be positive. But I do think that Triple H needs to learn from this overall. And basically, you settle down. Let the ESPN, let the commercials do the talking. We'll let ESPN do the big talking and get us all hyped. You don't need to sit there and like build this up and make promises that you just can't keep, bro. And then for my last what's next, I just wanted to throw her in here because I love her so much. Stephanie Vaquer. I'm recording this the day after Raw this week where she did get her celebration. And that wasn't even my favorite part of Raw and Stephanie Vaquer. She is the world champion now. She beat Io Sky at WrestlePalooza, which was a shining light in that PLE. But after her celebration on Monday Night Raw, she got confronted by Asuka and Kairi Sane, and obviously Rhea and Nikki Bella were there as well. But what I liked the most about it was Asuka got up in Stephanie Vaquer's face And Stephanie was like, you want some? Come get some. You know what I mean? And she even in her celebration said her fire burns bright and she's going to make more history or something of that matter, which was also great to hear. But basically, I combined what I just said about Triple H with Stephanie Vaquer right now, because what's next is she needs to be your light, man. I mean, I think that Raw should be heavily featured with Stephanie Vaquer. We should be doing all the dream matches with her. I think you could throw Roxanne at her right away, Nikki Bella at her right away. You know, people who she's definitely going to beat, but will have spectacular matches with. I think that Stephanie Vaquer needs to be that on Raw. She needs to be the fighting champion. She needs to be featured weekly. Matches against Roxanne, matches against Nikki Bella, matches against Ivy Nile, matches against Raquel, matches against Asuka, Kyrie. Throw everybody in there, basically, is what I'm saying. She's that good, and what needs to be next is a changing of the attitude of booking of our champions right now, right? I just mentioned that Julia and Tiffany and Io's reigns were booked pretty horribly. This needs to be the moment where we start to make things right, book her correctly, make her a star, because I think that what you got there is someone who could easily be on Rhea's level within the next year, year and a half, if done right, with Stephanie Vaquer. I think that should be what's next for her, is she should just be A1 next to Rhea's A2. But that's basically my what's next for a couple things that I had in mind. It was a solo podcast episode, so I wanted to get on here and just kind of rattle off my thoughts about the John Cena stuff, and then add in some of the stuff that I had about Drew McIntyre, Triple H, and Stephanie Vaquer. But mostly, I did want to talk about John Cena because as everybody knows who tunes into the podcast, I am the #1 John Cena fanboy, and I want to make sure that we don't waste his final 5 appearances doing stuff that we just don't need to be seeing, like more Brock Lesnar, because that man deserves better. And I am a happy man opening Twitter or X.com and seeing John Cena finally go into business for himself and start making matches and calling the shots himself, because John Cena versus AJ Styles sounds 1,000 times better than John Cena versus Brock Lesnar around 842. With that said, make sure to stop by our live stream for SmackDown this Friday. I believe Brandon will be there. If not, I'll be doing it myself, but it's youtube.com/COD-WrestlePod. We do Raw, SmackDown, and PLE. So come watch it with us. We'll have a lot of fun. And then for everything else, it's at COD WrestlePod, COD WrestlePod. We have a link tree in our bio. It literally takes you to all of our links, our TikTok, our Instagram, our Twitter, XYZ. Go ahead, follow, subscribe, like, share to all that stuff, because we're confident that you'll love it and we'd love to have you there. But I'm Will. I'm missing Brandon. I'm the Cousin Destruction Wrestling Podcast right now. We'll see you next time.